Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm not sure where to laugh or to cry. I feel that with so much of Tom's personality, being so open and with his emotions. But it is a real privilege for me to be here this morning to be helping with the memorial service for Tom. Many of you come from places that are far, some are nearby. Some of you know Tom very closely and are fortunate to have had that closeness with him. Others may have just gotten to know him in recent years. Whatever your station with Tom, you're so welcome to be here this morning. And if you just have only heard about Tom, then you're welcome to be here. And that was Tom's characteristic, to make quick meetings. And you too are welcome. I'm Alan Wells. I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister. I'm not the minister of the fellowship, who is Reverend Sasha Ostrom. I have a counseling and spiritual direction practice in Morristown. But I'm fortunate to be a good friend of Tom and during the last decade to call him my personal best friend. And so for me to be here with you is a personal experience, as well as my more official role of having the privilege of putting together with family this celebration of his life. Just in case anybody needs to know, the restroom is at the front, next to the front door, just to the left, and there are two on the second floor. Tom was so unique in the ways that he lived his life and the ways that he celebrated his everyday experience, that it was just a wonderful experience being with Tom during all the times that I got to know him, which were many. And I remembered all of our Thursday bike rides and lunches together, but I'm not going to share those now because you'll have an opportunity to hear about many of these experiences later on in our service. I would like to invite now Madigan and Quincy and Brett, please, if you all would come up and light the chalice this morning that begins our formal celebration. Just come on up here. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. It has a long history going back to a symbol used in Germany during the times of Nazi regime to help those people who needed to escape from Nazi Germany. But it means for us today a warmth of community, the ways that we have, each of us, the ability to help one another. It signifies also the light of truth that we hope shines in our times. It signifies, as I said, the warmth of community. And it is a pleasure that Madigan, the grandchildren, and Brett and Quincy, and you could light the chalice that opens our celebration this morning. As Tom, I think, would have us do, I would like to invite you to, if you wish to stand or you feel comfortable or more comfortable in seating, to remain seated, but to greet your neighbor. Say hello if you want to, hi, shake hands, say namaste if you like. And I invite us to sing together. If you want to use your gray hymn book, the number is 354. And our musician, Michael Rosen, will lead us. And if you feel comfortable in doing so, please stand. And the words are also in front of us on the screen.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom that's the sometimes known. But most of all, we need close friends who know our very own, and we believe in love and in the strength of love, and we have found our need to be together. We share the wonder of you, and we believe that growing is the answer. Our lives are full of wonder, our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memory we share with friends will linger on and on. And we believe in love and in the strength of love, and we have found our place to be together, and we are right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to questions in this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together to midst of what we find, and we believe in love, and with the strength
I would like to share with you a reading from Khalil Gibran on joy and sorrow. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that so soothes your spirit the very wood that is hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. And when you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable, and when your heart is open, you are always at peace. I would like to invite Richard, if you would, please, Richard, to share with us some of your experiences, what it's like to be the son of Tom.
How long do we have here? Good morning, and thank you, Alan, and welcome to the celebration of life for Tom McGuinness. A life so well lived, I think we all believe, and thank you for sharing my dad's life, all of you. You wouldn't be in this room if you didn't know how special he was, and nothing I'm going to tell you today is going to be different, but it is a little bit of a recap of his life and kind of where he went and how he became the Tom that we all saw at the end. On behalf of Tom's daughters, Mary Louise and Amore, my sister, myself, and our spouses, Kate, Jack, and good friend, Bob, and his beautiful grandkids who came up earlier, Santino, Madigan, Quincy, and Brett. Santino's not here, he's in California. And the McGuinness family, the Crane family, the Elau family, the brown people, the white people, and everybody else in between that are related to us, and our Ireland cousins who I think are watching on the live stream today. So hello to them. That's Dolly's family that we got a chance to be with for years. And on behalf of Sasha, the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship, my dad's spiritual home and a great place to remember and celebrate him here today. Thank you for hosting, and thank you all for being a part of this community. Alan, especially being a great friend, and the Filipino Rondalia. What is a celebration without the Filipino Rondalia, right? They started coming to all our events, including baseball events, and I never thought Filipino Rondalia could play like baseball songs and sports songs. So they are so adept at finding the moment and being a part of it. So if you're here today, and I said this earlier, right, you know a lot about my dad. You're the lucky ones who've been touched by his life for almost 92 years. And one of his favorite lines was, "Be kind and follow your bliss." The other one was, "I wowed them." And the first one was a call to action for my dad. That was the principle of his life: be kind and follow your bliss. And I think he truly lived by it. The second was kind of an affirmation, almost saying, right, did I do a good job? When he said, did I wow them? He was really saying, did I do my part to create smiles and create happiness? The Tom McGuinness that we came to know was a pretty cool guy, as our friends say, with a huge heart, a song and a hug for everyone, and a real compassion for those in need. His honesty was everywhere. The Tom you know, or came to know, was shaped by his life experiences. Born to a traditional Irish Catholic family in Newark, New Jersey, in the midst of the Depression, life looked probably limited for my dad for his early years. But he showed early signs of entrepreneurship when he stole his mom's hair clips and sold them down the street to a five in time. He then sold peanuts at St. Benedict's football games, was an award-winning altar boy, and studied economics at Columbia. His first job was a New York City reporter. His first spiritual crossroads as a young man, we believe, was when he met with his guidance counselor. And the counselor said, "What vocation do you plan to get involved with?" And my dad had answered, "Well, sir, I want to be either a Catholic priest or a Marine." And the nice professor smiled and replied, "Tom, I think you have something seriously wrong with you." It seemed less concerning to my dad, whose older brother Bob was a Marine, and older brother Richard was a priest. His sister would later become a nun. Caught between some sense of obligation, my dad, I believe, really wanted to change the world. And it was a ministry and commitment to both vocations that I think he yearned for. Well, my dad did join the Marines and served his country as an officer for almost 20 years, 5 active and 15 reserve. And life as a soldier was first shaped by a day when he was not loud enough. He ended up running a drill, and his sergeant said, "Tom, you're going to have to get a whole lot louder. So this weekend, I'm going to ask you to go to the train station, and all day I want you to yell at the trains as they went back and forth." So it's the first time that we think our dad raised his voice in life and ultimately became a little stronger with his conviction. And that on that Monday, he wowed the Marine Corps platoon that he was a part of by making them do some sharp and strong and fancy commands. And that was the first great story of his Marine Corps. But he served in post-war Japan and Korea and became, and it was a meaningful experience for him. The post-war Asian world was filled with a lot of interesting thoughts and ideas, and he was stationed there for several years. He started running trips for fellow soldiers and started doing dances, and he led a trip up Mount Fuji, a big mountain in Japan that he was very proud to have climbed with his soldiers. But the most memorable of his military moments was a trip he ran for soldiers to an orphanage run by Catholic nuns. And they took care of children who lost their parents in the war. And that year, my dad, on Christmas Eve, for those orphans, he talked for years about being there and seeing both God present. I think that was my dad acting as both a soldier and a priest that night. And he found the combination of both. When he left the service, the respect and appreciation for Asian culture was real. He went to work for a Japanese company and wooed a young Filipina named Amor to be his wife. They built a modern Asian-influenced home in Boonton Township and raised their 3 kids. My dad still believed he could change the world by just being a good husband and a good father at that point in his life. And for the next 20 years, our dad, in his own non-threatening way, opened our minds and hearts to this world and changed lives along the way. As small kids, my dad recommended one day that we run naked around the house in the pouring rain. Mom never jumped in and the neighbors never called DIFUS, but our dad wanted us to feel the raw power of nature upon our skin. He took us to faraway places, to Europe and Mexico, the Caribbean, and the Philippines, and he took us to the Philippines for a month. When the grammar school principal wondered, why do we have to go so long, and questioned the trip, my dad had mentioned, well, it's a long field trip, let's just call it that. And off we went. As teenagers in the 70s, and well before marijuana was legalized, he talked openly about drugs. And one night, he told us all, if you ever find some marijuana, bring it home, we'll all do it together. See how this works. We never took him up on it, but unfortunately, that was back then. And the nights I most remember, back as a kid, that were more meaningful, were the surprise guests that our dad would bring to Saturday night or Sunday night family dinner. These guests were mainly from town. They were the disconnected, the disabled, the lonely, the homeless, who needed a good meal, but mostly some more love in their lives. Although we belonged to a local Catholic church, one Sunday he brought us to a local Baptist church for a surprise. We were the only white family in there at the last pew. And as we swayed back and forth to a different vibe, it was another memorable and eye-opening experience. My dad then urged that we go to a New York City cathedral and celebrate the winter solstice, with the highlight of that night being howling like wolves in the moonlight. Like his own journey, our dad wanted us to find our own spirituality. One of the great places my dad introduced us to was a place called Star Island, a getaway affiliated with the Unitarian Church, but no daily showers, common bathrooms, no five-star restaurants, no pool or golf, and we all had our reservations. But the island, located 5 miles into the Atlantic off the coast of Portsmouth, surrounded by water on each side, and so disconnected to the everyday world that we turned out living in my opinion, was the most beautiful place on earth. My dad, our families, and the grandkids kept going back for years. Later in life, as my father thought through his own death, as he openly did often, and I'm sure you've heard that through some of the programming here and some of the conversations, he showed us how to disarm the idea with the idea of an organic green burial. He pitched the idea of being buried on our property to my wife, who rejected it outright for a lot of reasons. We have dogs, and it wasn't legal, and I won't even get into it. But it didn't go long, so then he bought a plot of land in Pennsylvania, and he shared his plans that we actually participate in his burial. Lower him in the ground, spread dirt on his body, and leave him in the earth as he came out. We had our reservations, but for those who were there about a month ago and participated and attended, it was one of the most beautiful and majestic moments we've ever had. Ironically, my dad had a joke on my wife because as we were missing people at the ceremony, we all said, Kate, throw some dirt in for this person, that person, and my wife ended up putting more dirt on my dad when all said and done. So his way to get back at her. But our dad showed us through both living and dying on how to live and how to die. My dad's entrepreneurial spirit was always hard at work all throughout his life. We owned gift stores, a Chinese restaurant, a local theater, a local real estate investments, big band dance company, and a rest home that housed elderly women, where you would find my dad making pancakes on Sunday mornings. Most of his businesses and the activities were centered around the town of Boonton, where he loved to impact our local community and share with his kids the business world. We had many jobs throughout the years. His other Boonton passions were the men's group right here, the Boonton Historical Society, where he supported and loved to play period actors throughout his life as he worked with them on bringing history alive in Boonton, and the Boonton concerts at Grace Lord Park, which he restarted after years of not having them in town. As his favorite place on earth, he chose Deer Lake. As the oldest member, Deer Lake was his restful getaway for more than 60 years. For an hour or a day, and in every season of the year, he and I would go to Deer Lake with the family and other grandkids and everybody. He would use it as his spot almost every week, and we had a streak going of swimming at Deer Lake. And until the very last time, at 90 years old, as you can imagine, with the help of lifeguards getting in the water, with the parting of young kids, knowing that here comes old man Tom into the water, and onlookers looking, mysteriously as to what happened, my dad would slowly get in the water and then eventually jump in my arms and swim. And he would be laughing and woo-hooing like a 10-year-old boy taking his very last swim. As our dad touched so many lives, he's been a great father to us. We strongly believe the person he most impacted was my sister Amor. Born with cerebral palsy at birth, it was clear that Amor would not have the same life as other able-bodied kids. She would undergo several major operations in her early childhood. As mom tended to the management of a very busy family, Dad took it upon himself to be her champion, with his unending support to make sure Amor was given the opportunity to have everything else in life. Faced with alternative options for disabled kids back in the 70s, my dad crusaded to mainstream her in school at CCD when bullied, and the right to participate in field day. Amor grew up with a sense of strength and can-do attitude, which allowed her to independently study abroad in England, travel to Russia, rappel down mountains, and on graduation day, become Belmont Abbey's most awarded student of the year. When applying to school, Amor asked her dad how to respond to the question of disability. And Dad answered the way he would have, saying, just say you can do everything else but the 40-yard dash. Amor then replied and looked back at my father to say, Dad, I ran the 40-yard dash. Amor moved to California, advocated for the disabled, married a terrific man, involved in a motorcycle accident, and who became a paraplegic, adopted a young baby who was born to a cocaine-addicted mom, and has lived with a can-do attitude given to her by our dad. My father's last years, I think, were some of the very best. And from what I shared so far, my dad lived his best years, both with my mom, traveling with our mom to Alaska and China and Thailand, and then spending time with these great grandkids, doing splendid sleepovers in Boonton, with trips to Deer Lake, getting ice cream and fruit, and so much singing and dancing every time they were in Boonton. He went by the name Papa, and to these grandkids, he was a true original. He spent time following his passions, as we all know, singing. He would sing to everybody. He would sing in Korean. He would sing in Tagalog. He would sing at the drop of a hat, and he would sing Sinatra. He loved to sing. It filled his heart, and his favorite performance was at a bar in Ireland where he was invited to sing with a famous Irish folk group. Mary and I were with him, and we felt like we were on tour with Elvis Presley. One day, as he was driving, he got into an accident. Not a big one. He was older in life, and he hit a pole. And when a police officer rolled up and asked him, "Is it possible you fell asleep?" my dad replied, "It is very possible. It is my nap time at this time." So Dad was very honest. As a family, I know we and my sisters and our extended family have no regrets, and we all shared so much great time together, just sadness. The theme of his life, I believe, when all wound together, is the joy of being together, being open to new things, doing good, and finding your God in places other than just a church. So as I finish this celebration and presentation, let me just say a few thanks here to our family members. My oldest sister, Mary, the most selfless person I know, who for years took care of both of our parents in so many different ways and took care of her siblings when needed. She's the dominant force in my dad's life after the passing of her mother and is the connection thread within our family. In the later years, Mary made sure that my dad had everything needed to live his best life. And of all her great qualities, Mary carries my dad's huge heart and desire to help and care. Thank you. And my sister Moore, who you've now heard about a little bit more, who decided to take it upon herself and her loving boyfriend Bob and come full circle by caring for Dad as the primary caretaker while in hospice. The hospice was to take place in her house in his last days and months. Given his advanced age and 2 bouts with COVID in the past 5 years, there was little expectation that my dad would be in hospice for long. But with the team of Amor and my dad together again, they decided to have one more last party, apparently. Our dad's hospice period lasted 7 months and 2 days, where they hosted friends and relatives, and they ate and they sang, and they traveled to the beach, hosted the birthday party, had men's group meetings, and lived with so much love and joy every day during my dad's last chapter. When I look back, it was like a Shiva or an Irish wake, but with my dad actually attending, and it was nothing short of amazing. Thank you, Amor, for giving back, and to Bob, Amor's partner, who also cared for Dad every day during his longest days. Your patience and love for our dad and family is so appreciated. Cousin Mike and Sue and your family for your weekly visits, and everybody else who made it to Tom's River, thank you all. They all made my dad so happy. And to the Morristown Fellowship, the man I described lived a wonderful life, but like us all, Dad lived with some pain, some loss, and a few holes left to be filled. When he found the fellowship in his 50s, he found his spiritual home. He found lifelong friends, acceptance and belonging to a way of life, and a place to continue to question and explore and learn and be nourished. For years, the fuel behind my father's happiness and life mainly came from right here, from all of you. Thank you very much. The thousands of hugs that he received and the great lunches, and most of all, the idea of just being here for him always will be appreciated by his family. A special thanks to Allison Miller, Dad's former minister, Alan Wells, and John Esposito, his best buds, the Hicks family, the Hearst family, and good old John Sulu, who from the men's group, who was a very special man to my dad, and listened to all your presentations on the iPad when he couldn't speak or talk anymore. And finally, to the man of the hour, Tom McGuinness. If you could hear us today, 92 years, a great marriage, 3 kids, 4 awesome grandkids. You beat 2 bouts of COVID and 7 months in hospice. Congratulations on a life well lived and for showing us all how to live and love. Dad, you wowed us. We will be kind and always follow our bliss. Thank you.
I invite us to join together in a time of reflection, in quiet, of meditation, of prayer, a time to hold in our hearts all that we have received from Tom McGuinness. A time to be thankful, a time now to be perhaps remorseful, a time to be humorous, a time to wonder at the living of a life so full. A time, most of all, to give thanks for his presence among us. From Tom, we have experienced love and learned how to give it. We've learned how even the smallest meeting may become an occasion for connection. We have learned to recognize the limit of death and how to prepare for it. We have learned how to cry, how to laugh, and how to sing upon the slightest invitation. We've learned how to be curious and to experiment with life. We've learned how to let others be whom they were meant to be. We've learned how to respond to others when they are in need, and how in every situation to be as helpful as we can. We have learned, as Tom has advised and did for himself, to follow our bliss and to be kind. May we open our hearts now to listen in the short period of silence to the unique and special blessings that we have received from Tom. May we hold in our hearts in particular his family, Mary Louise McGuinness, Richard McGuinness, Amor McGuinness, Madigan, Quincy, Brett, and Santino. May we hold in our hearts also Rob Brasso, who along with Moore was his caretaker, giving love to Tom through his last months so gracefully. May we hold in our hearts Susan from Victoria Muse, who helped Tom in so many ways. May we hold in our hearts all of us who grieve, who feel a sense of loss. And may we open our hearts in love, as Tom would have us, to that depth, that energy that could call us to be a Marine, but also could call us to be a priest. That balance of strength and care. May we listen to our hearts as Tom did to his, being open to what may now unfold before us, being willing to take what comes and to make the best of it, and always to be thankful, to be helpful, and to be kind. So be it. Amen. Blessed be. Abdallah has been so much a part of Tom and Amore's life, and thank you very much. This is an opportunity to hear a short message video from the minister, Reverend Allison Miller, who was here during during all of the time that Tom was here, most of the time that Tom was here himself.
Greetings to Tom's family and his chosen family here at the Morristown UU Fellowship. My name is Allison Miller, and I had the great privilege of serving as Tom McGuinness's minister for 17 years. I'm touched that the family has asked me to share a few words with all of you today. When I think about Tom, what comes to the foreground is a man who had an overflowing zest for life. While Tom was part of the silent generation, known for being traditional and for moderating or even muting displays of affection or emotion, Tom was exactly the opposite. I remember many conversations with him about his nonconformist religious journey from being a devout Catholic to embracing the wide open freedom of Unitarian Universalism. He cherished his roots and Amore's Catholicism, but he had the courage and the creativity to break out of what was too confining for him and found a community here at the fellowship where he could be fully himself as a spiritual being. In Tom, I remember a man who was never afraid to show the spectrum of emotion. His laughter echoed in these walls, his tears too. And he was not afraid to tell you he loved you. His brothers in the men's group and all of his friends here at the fellowship could hear it in his words and witness it in his actions too. To his family, though, know that you were the people who mattered the most to him. His smile was never bigger than when he spoke of Mary Louise, Amore, Rich, Santino, Madigan, Quincy, and Brett. He adored being a father and a grandfather. It's no wonder. You were born of one of the greatest love stories. Tom always looked at his wife, Amore, and doted on her as if it was the very beginning of their courtship, even after 50 years, which we all celebrated together in a special renewal of vows ceremony and party in June 2011. One thing that is clear to me is that while dancing and singing may not keep you young forever, it seems it may keep love young and fresh forever. Tom was a lifelong learner. He was fascinated and curious about so many things. He was one of the pillars of our adult learning programs. Tom loved to share his knowledge with others, and he loved to ask questions to be able to learn more. Tom was also a mentor who believed in other people's ability to grow. He inspired so many people to lead or join discussion groups and other learning opportunities here over the years, as well as movie groups, field trips, the men's group, and more. Tom was deeply compassionate, and one learning that he shared captivated his heart was helping others to come to terms with their own mortality and to help them learn how to speak about it and to name and advocate for their end-of-life choices. For Tom, this included a desire for a green burial as someone who wanted to extend his care and compassion for all creatures and our planet. While many of us may be feeling his loss keenly at this time, we also know that Tom's life and his legacy of love, by showing up continuously for his family and the people of this community, will always be a great blessing. May it be so, and amen.
Thank you, Allison. The numbers of you that are here are testimony to the ways that your lives have been affected by Tom. And there's an opportunity now, if you would like to share something that may be on your heart or mind. The fact that there's a large number of us here also makes me conscious of that it would be helpful to be fairly brief. But if there are some comments or experiences that you would like to share, please do so now. And we'll give you can we give him a handheld mic? Oh, yeah, right here. Thanks. He's ahead of the game. Yes. Who might like to share? Brett?
Hi. Is this? Yeah? Okay. Hi, I'm Janine Torciello, and I help Tom out a lot with computer work and stuff at his home in Booton. And I knew him and Amor for a long time. Amor, actually, I knew her through a friend of mine who was part of the Rondalia. His name was Biani, and he helped co-found, I believe, the Rondalia, Biani. I had the pleasure of seeing them in concert a couple of times with her and him together. He has passed now, and obviously Amor has as well. But I also met Tom before I knew I met Tom. When I came to the fellowship here, we started talking one time, and I realized that I had interviewed him as a young reporter when he and Tom Timbrook were doing some stuff with the Darras Theater. And I remember talking to him back then, but I didn't know who he was, and I didn't make the connection until much later. And then I was like, Tom, I think I interviewed you 10, 15 years ago. And we talked all about that, but we talked a lot over the time that I worked with him on his computer and helping him put together his memoirs. And the one thing that I learned over the years, over and over again, is what Rich had said, and Alan has said. His family was so important to him. And I remember first meeting his grandkids on that stage there when they came to sing here with him when they were little. And to watch them grow up and see the amazing people they've become, and to get to be a part of things with Tom and his family over the years. Drew and I have both valued that very much, and I miss him already, but I'll miss him forever.
Thank you, Janine.
Hi, my name's Carolyn Schwartz, and Tom and I were very close friends. Just to tell you how close we were, on my 79th birthday, Tom sang to me, "You make me feel so young." And that kind of sums up Tom's unbelievable zest for life. We shared many wonderful moments together, and he'll always be a light in my life.
I am family through marriage, but Uncle Tom was definitely my family. Coming down the road today, I was saying my Uncle Tom's it's my Uncle Tom, yours too. But he was everybody's Tom, and he made everybody feel so welcomed around him, and he had definitely a zest for life, and I would leave feeling exuberant around him, his energy. And my husband and I wanted to do a Frank Sinatra song, but we wasn't sure. But I just wanted to say I'm so thankful that I got to know him. Well, I got to know him because he's a sweetheart, and he'll always be in my heart. And I just wanted to say thank you, Uncle Tom, for teaching us how to live and to fight through the hurts and to be vulnerable and to be open and to pray and to just experience life and the blessings along the way. So I just want to say thank you. And he definitely made me feel so young.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joanne McGuinness, Tom's niece, youngest child of the Marine. Just wanted to say, Rich, you did an amazing job. And a hard job. Uncle Tom, for an Irish Catholic family, we talked about death more than any other family I know. Between him and his sister Mary McGuinness, we talk death all the time. But something that became really apparent over the last few weeks was that he not only had a death plan, he had a life plan, and he lived it. And as a youngster, I used to go up and stay in Booton, and it was the Nutley McGuinnesses and the Booton McGuinnesses. And Booton McGuinnesses did things totally different than the Nutley McGuinnesses. And there's many fond memories. I can make Mary Louise laugh because we were there and we have a similar sense of humor. But one of my best memories, I think Richard might have been 8 and brought a friend with him with a compass. And Uncle Tom left us in the woods during deer season to find our way out. And Mary Louise and I are 11 or 12 days apart, depending upon if it's leap year. I was the oldest, technically, at whatever age that was, and we were in the woods with deer signs. And, you know, my mom always worried when I was up there. But at the end of the day, I know he'll be so happy that we're all here together. He was the best storyteller. And I think we really needed him during that song, right? I'm gonna miss that, because he made everybody sing and feel good. And one of the things that I mentioned when he passed was it's the last piece of my dad. And I didn't realize until after I was at your mom's funeral that he had my dad's cowlick, and that's gone. But they're all together now. And we love you, and I know he's so happy. And thank you.
George. Yes.
Tom was one of our founding members of the men's group, a gathering of men, 39 years ago. At that time, each of us was required to give a short presentation of our life. Well, that took half a session for most of us. Not for Tom. It took 3 full sessions. And he wasn't finished.
Another characteristic of Tom that just come to my mind now is his sense of bravado. We went together to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine for a fall winter solstice. But on the way there, we stopped by Columbia University to visit where he had gone to school, and found that the next door building there was a big party for the secretaries going on. Tom said, well, let's try it. So we had to leave our coats, which was very cool that winter day, in the coat room, and Tom and I went into the reception, and someone, I guess who was a little curious, came out and said, hello, who invited you? And Tom says, oh, the gentleman in the coat room. So we have time for maybe just a very few, yes, more. Please.
Okay. Hi, I'm from the Filipino side of the family. My name is Eden. My dad, Romeo Ilao, is the brother of my Aunt Amor McGuinness. So I am a niece. Uncle Tom was such a blessing to us in his kindness and his hospitality. He was not only a great brother-in-law, he was a great uncle to us, and he was a great brother-in-law to my dad, and not just that, but really a true friend. Back in 1973, when my dad wanted to come to the United States from the Philippines for better opportunities for him and his family of 7, he wanted to come here, and so my Uncle Tom and Aunt Amor took him in, and he stayed with them for many months to help him get settled and find a job. He had to leave us behind, and while he was trying to find work here, and my Uncle Tom actually helped him find a job through a contact that he had, a friend of his, Steve Minahan, who worked for Foster Wheeler, a company called Foster Wheeler. My dad was looking for an engineering job, and so Uncle Tom actually drove him to Foster Wheeler, and they didn't even have I don't think they even had an interview or anything set up. He just brought him over there and tried to look for somebody to talk to get a job for my dad. So anyway, they didn't find out right away that he got the job, but my dad likes to tell this story of how they found out. They were in the backyard doing yard work, and the 3 of them, Uncle Tom, Aunt Amor, and my dad, and they got a letter, and which was a job offer for my dad, which was like a dream job for him. And so as soon as they found out, they were all jumping up and down, and I could just picture them doing that because I've seen pictures of them like from a long time ago in the yard. So, but anyway, this job that he had, it ended up becoming it was a great job. It led to so many great opportunities for us and our family, and it's a job that my dad ended up retiring from, and so that was such a blessing to us, and that was just one of the ways that Uncle Tom made a difference in our lives, and we're very grateful. And then one last thing was, one of my favorite memories of him was when I think of him singing, I remember him always singing O Ilaw, which it's a Tagalog song. It's a serenade, a Filipino serenade. And he would sing it with Aunt Amor, and just the fact that he learned it really well, and he could sing the whole thing in Tagalog, and it became a tradition for him to sing it every time we had gatherings. And so I just always, the fact that he would do that just says a lot about him as a person and his ability to connect with people. And it was always really cute how he would say certain words in Tagalog. He learned a lot of words. And my brothers and my sister and I would always kind of pronounce it the way he does sometimes. Like he would say, puto. Puto is like a Filipino dessert. And he would say puto in his sophisticated manner. So Uncle Tom, that's how we're going to say it from now on. We always did, but in honor of him, we were going to say it like that.
Let's take maybe 2 or 3, perhaps more comments, but do keep them as brief as you feel comfortable in doing.
Hello. I'm J.R. Alaza. I need about an hour. Is that okay?
Yes.
Uncle Tom. So my family and I moved here when I was about 12 years old, straight from the Philippines. And I've heard stories about Auntie Amor, Uncle Tom, saw their pictures, never met them. We moved here, and it was the first Filipino party. And out of nowhere, this guy is singing Tagalog songs. I can remember telling my sister and my brother, I said, he is the coolest uncle ever. From that point on, every time I told the story of Uncle Tom, he is my favorite and coolest uncle, Uncle Tom. And the life lesson that I learned from him was, in the beginning, my family and I would come over every summer and cut their grass, either at their home or at the nursing home, every summer. it was tough, being young and cutting grass, raking them, and all that. And I can remember telling myself, like, man, he's my uncle. He's making me work. Just give me my money. So it went on every summer. My family and I would come and do all that, and then we moved to Florida, and I ended up moving back again to New Jersey, and it became by myself. Every summer I would cut grass, and he heard that I was working for a catering company in New York. Then it became, hey, can you come over? I'm having a party. Can you be my bartender? I'm like, okay. And in my head, I was still telling myself, man, why can't you just give me my money? Well, one thing I've learned over the years as I grew up was he taught me that no matter who it is, family or friends, you always got to earn your money. And I carry that till this day, and I will cherish that for the rest of my life. So thank you so much, and I love you and miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Yeah, I just want to express our gratefulness to the McGuinness family for a big support that you have given us, the Rondalia. We are still existing because of Tom Amor and the McGuinness family. Although there's an aside about Tom, because we used to have the three rondalistas who are the favorite of Tom and Amor to have every event or Christmas, anything. We always get invited, we three of us. And then because I think he believes in us, he said, "Oh, why don't you play at the MUUF?" I said, but one of the members, Lito, who passed, by the way, was the best bandurria player. So although Rudy wanted to play, he said, "No, I think it's about time that we should show our talent," he said. But both of us always tell Tom, said, "We're not ready yet, we have to practice some more." But anyway, we haven't played here because we think that we're not yet ready. But by the way, before a few months, how many months ago, we were invited, when we were told by Mary Louise that Tom is in Tom's River, and he said on a hospice. So I said, "Oh my goodness," because Mary Louise was telling us that, "Oh, maybe a few weeks." So Rudy and Lena, we decided to go to Tom's River, and then we played his favorite Tagalog song, "O Ilaw," and also the favorite song also when during their 50th anniversary, the "Gaano Ko Ikaw Kamahal," "How Much I Love You." That's the thing. So every time we sing, he sings so loud, and then he requests, I think 3 times, and then he tells us, "Oh, I married a Filipina girl." 3 times, he said. he told me that. So, we love him. Every time he invites us, we are always there, and we are so glad. But again, we are eternally grateful for making Rondalia we still exist. So,
Thank you very much.
I'm John Solu. I met Tom when he was 50 years old or thereabouts, and here at the fellowship. And he would always be upstairs with the, later on when my wife got involved with being an RE director here and the RE program, and he would come up and sing with the children and everything whenever there was a little musical activity. And I would say, oh, Tom, you're such a open-hearted, kind-hearted, musical kind of individual. And he'd say, yeah, but music is in your heart. And I'd say, yeah, but I'm an engineer. I'm not into that kind of heart stuff. You got to give me facts. So he introduced me to George Hayes and a couple of the other men here. And we formed a men's group. And I always enjoyed his optimism, positivity. But every so often, and it's so apropos that yesterday was Thanksgiving, because I would go to my family's Thanksgiving gatherings, and I would come and lament to Tom. I'd say, my wife is Irish Catholic, and I came from a Muslim country, Islamic, and it's tough for me to make that leap and relate to them. And he said, let me give you some advice. Because he said, I had that challenge, and I overcame it. And I said, well, how did you do it? Well, he said, what's your wife's name? I said, you know my wife's name. She's Kathy. He says, no, the real name. And I said, I don't know. What is her real name? He said, her name is Kathleen. I said, okay, what do we do with that? He said, sing her a song. And I said, well, what would I sing? He said, try this. I'll take you home again, Kathleen. And he said, win her heart over, and then the rest of the family will flow with it. And I'm eternally grateful to him for bringing that song to my heart, because it made a big difference in all these years since then to relate to my Irish Catholic half of my family.
Thank you. So let us have maybe one more sharing, and then I think there will be a luncheon following, a light luncheon, and an opportunity for further continuance, because I can see there's so many stories and so many gifts that have been given. It would be nice for all of us to be able to share, but in the interest of time, I'll just ask maybe we have one, or maybe to give you a little warning, one more after you. Okay.
I can go on and on, but I won't. Richard spoke so lovingly of Tom and so many of the memories and things that he touched upon. Oh, by the way, my name's Julie, and I have known Amor since kindergarten, and I consider Amor, Mary, and Rich like my second family. And that means Tom and Amor as well. And I look around this room, and I recognize so many people that I know so well because of this loving family. Kelly and Michelle are over there. Susan here, Jerry from high school, and I just think that's a true testament of both Amor and Tom and their love for life and bringing people together and bringing one another together through song for both Amor and Tom. But I, like Tom, grew up in a traditional Irish Catholic family, meat and potatoes. Not so much in the McGuinness's house as meat and potatoes as all other food. My palate expanded so much under that man. I'm not going to elaborate on how or why, but the other things that Rich touched upon that Tom loved was Deer Lake. And I have such great memories of going to Deer Lake annually for Amor's birthday in June. But the big thing, majestic to me at the time at Deer Lake, was the huge slide. The huge slide at Deer Lake in the deep end of the water. In order to go down that slide, you had to pass the swim test. That's a challenge. But it was always something, you can do it, Julie, you can do it. Look up that slide. You want to go down, you got to do the swim test. And I remember that, and one of the things that I cherish so much about that memory is Tom also caught a picture of me, a black and white film, going down that slide at Deer Lake that I still have, and I cherish it so much. The other thing with the McGuinnesses, whenever you go there, there is always song. And again, I can't sing. But with those entrepreneurial events that Tom had, going to the Livingston Mall or even the Willowbrook Mall, all of us would be in the back seat. Amor, Rich, Mary, and Cindy Weilander. Dad, turn that song up. Turn that song up. My Sharona. Come on, girls, you can all sing it. My Sharona. So one of the things I learned, I sing a lot in my car because I travel by myself a lot. The music is always loud. But one of the things I've learned, and I really enjoy when I still go to Catholic Mass, when I am sitting next to someone who can sing. Donna, who I met today, is Donna, right? She says to me, "You've come in here long, you know these songs?" I said, "No, but I've been hanging out with this family a long time, that I know that I have to try to sing, because that song is in your heart." And for so many years, so many decades, this family has always been in my heart, and I will never forget that, the welcoming and the love from both Amor and Tom.
Thank you very much.
What a great man.
Thank you very much. So somebody may want the last word.
Want to show the video clip from last year. Oh, sorry. Every year we spend our Christmas family reunion at Mary Louise's house, my cousin. So last year,
laughing all the way. Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow.
Merry Christmas to you, Tom.
I got another song. You make me feel young. You make me feel like spring has sprung.
That song coming up next. All right, thank you, Eileen.
Brad, do you want to say that? Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to share this because I think this really shares the warmth of my grandfather. I know this might not be like the most funny or happy thing, but I think it was very necessary to share. So, in my family, I don't know if this is normal for everyone, but we say "I love you" at the end of every call, right? So like I might call my mom, quick question, okay, love you too, bye, right? Through anyone, Rich, Kate, everyone, my immediate family. So in pop-ups, last few weeks on Earth, Anna Moore and my mom would call every night. They talk to pop-up for what seemed 30 minutes to an hour, and I'd always get the phone at the end of every call just to say a few words to pop-up. And on his fourth to last day on Earth, we're talking, he's mumbling, it's not too clear, but at the end of the sentence, I'm always the first to say I love you, to say goodbye, not thinking he would say anything, but for the first time he beats me to it. And he says, "Brett, I love you so much." And I say, "Pop-up, I love you too." And I hand my phone to my mom, and that was our last words together. And that'll stay with me forever, so I thought it was necessary to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for your sharing, for your hearts opening, and for the love that you've expressed for Tom and acknowledged having received from Tom. I like to think of life as a river that begins in a clear, pure, bubbly mountain spring with birth, flows down the slopes of infancy and into the streams of youth, through widening rivers of approaching adulthood, and eventually into the all-engulfing sea, whose entrance is marked by the salt of tears. Some rivers are shallow and narrow, some are wide and deep, some are twisted, while others run bountifully towards their destination. Some are of short duration, others are long traveled. Some fertilize fields, some carve grand canyons into our being. At such an occasion as this, we all pause, I believe, at the entrance of one life into the sea, knowing that we are all connected from the points of our birth to secret underground streams, and that our lives will merge again as they finally flow into the mysterious unfathomable, and that the streams and the ocean are of one holiness, which we may call God, divine, or choose not to name because we feel the name is too inadequate. Above all, today, let us open our hearts to the flowing that is arisen in us from this experience of being together. Open and excited to face new opportunities in our life, to live the kind of life whose characteristics we so admired in Tom. And let us sing together, building on what Brett has said, love will guide us. That's 131 if you like to choose to use your gray hymn book that's in the back of your chair in front of you. If you feel comfortable, let's stand.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot sing before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with the love. You are my
Be seated. Rich, I invite you if you would like to offer thanks and
Thank you again, Alan, for all your love and support, and to everybody else involved with today's program. Michael Rosen, the music director, Alex West, the AV director, Reverend Sasha Ostrom, the minister here, Reverend Allison Miller, who you heard from, and a special thanks, one round of applause one more time to the Filipino one. Yep. Anything else you want to do? Okay. We good?
Let us depart in thanksgiving. Let us be honest with loss. Let us not to pretend that it is less than it is, but neither let us believe that it is more than it is. As long as memory endures, we may feel Tom's presence among us. It is not an end to love. Humankind's need for love is boundless, and our ability to offer it is of infinite value. It is not an end to joy and laughter. These gifts will enliven our days to come. Let us leave this place of celebration and thanksgiving with the curiosity to create, to help our companions, to follow our dreams, and to be always available to those in need. May we continue to celebrate Tom's life every day by bringing into the lives of others an enrichment like that of which he gave us. Let us leave this place, as Tom would appreciate, radiating ourselves to the common life before us, honoring the uniqueness of our personal journey, and bestowing kindness upon all. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be.
Surprise, surprise. So our last song for today will be my dad's favorite, a Sinatra. We introduced it a few minutes ago, You Make Me Feel So Young. So feel free to join in. I think you've got the words coming up here, and we're going to follow the rondallas. You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring has sprung. And every time I see you grin, I'm such a happy individual. The moment that you see, I want to go play hide and seek. I want to go and bounce the moon just
so we would like to play a Marian hymn. Okay, 1, 2, 3.